Okay, in this chapter we're going to create the landscape meshes for replacing those with the landscape meshes, and the whole concept is that we create high quality meshes. For example, some beach meshes, some rocks, some jungle floor meshes and things like that to cover the whole landscape with those. Because the landscape actor for now isn't supported by Unreal Engine Lumen system, and it's not going to bounce anything into the scene, and it's going to be visualized as black. So if we want to see that, let's go to show, visualize, and in here we want to see the Lumen global illumination. Now, not this one, it's Lumen scene. And this is what Lumen looks at when it tries to light the scene. It's going to pick from these colors and inject them back into the scene. And you see these colors are here perfectly, and this is here as well, but the landscape isn't picked up by Lumen. And we're going to replace it with nanite meshes so that it becomes a lot more realistic in terms of landscape quality. But you're free to go and detail the landscape that you have, but we are going to create meshes and cover the whole landscape with nanite meshes, with high quality nanite meshes, and bring this into a next generation thing. So the whole concept is creating mesh kits, for example, a beach mesh kit, a jungle mesh kit, and a rock mesh kit, and start to hand place them into the scene to create a high quality landscape. So for the meshes that we are going to create are not there, and we have not created something. So I'm going to grab something from Megascan's library and demo what we are going to create. So to bring the Quixel bridge, either you can open the Quixel bridge a standalone app, or you can bring it from the content menu in here. And I don't know about that one, but this one allows you also to download the nanite quality meshes and bring them into the scene with just a single click. So we're going to download some meshes from this category: 3D assets, natural, and these embarkment meshes, these ones. So I've downloaded some of them, but in a low quality to bring them into the scene. Of course, these are not nanite meshes. We will convert them into nanite meshes, but I've downloaded them in a low quality so that the download speed doesn't hurt us, and they will get downloaded a lot faster. So if you do not see this in here, all you need to do is go into edit and plugins, and in here search for bridge, and you enable it. And if the engine requires you to restart the engine, you're gonna restart the engine and get the Quixel bridge in here. And when you open it, it asks you to enter your username, password, email, and those kinds of things, and the plugin becomes available to you. So I've downloaded some of them. Let's take these, and the whole thing that we're going to do is create high quality meshes like these and start to hand place them. For example, in these areas we might place something like this to make it a lot more beautiful and natural looking instead of using the landscape, and it will give us a level of detail that you have never imagined of. So let's take all of these and export them into Unreal. You can either grab them and import them, or the better way, export them with this click. Okay, one exported, two exported, and the second row exported as well. So we have these here, and I'm going to grab the meshes and import them into the scene. And for now, these are not nanite meshes. These are just regular meshes, but regular low quality meshes, because I downloaded the low quality version to be a bit faster on the recording. So to convert them into nanite, you either go into a static mesh editor and in here enable nanite and apply changes. Now it has been converted into nanite. And to make sure that everything is nanite, you go into this menu and nanite visualization, go to overview, and now you see this one has been green in the mask. Green is nanite and red is non-nanite meshes, and you see everything in this scene is non-nanite except for this particular. And if you try to copy it, it copies the nanite mesh over as well. So let's take these instead and go in here, and the other way to convert this into nanite is right clicking in here and nanite, enable nanite. And because these are low quality meshes, they will get converted pretty fast and we have no issue converting them. But if you download high quality meshes, the conversion may take a little bit longer depending on your machine. So let's convert this as well. Now we have 4 nanite meshes in here. So I can now really come out of this mode, this nanite visualize mode, and disable it. And we know that we have nanite meshes in here. So what we are going to do is distribute these meshes to the whole level and start hand placing them to create the landscape in a high quality manner. So the good thing is that we get a very high quality landscape that has some features that would have been impossible to create with the default landscape features. And one bad thing is that it takes forever. For example, let's say this, we start to copy, bring them around, rotate them, make them bigger, resize them, do whatever we want. It's going to take forever because these are rather small portions. That is very impractical to start manipulating these and rotate and hand place all of them in the scene as a single actor. So they have created a feature called mega assemblies, and it's a great new feature in Unreal Engine 5 that allows you to treat these as modular meshes and, for example, create a lot of new entities using these. And it's basically like a Lego. You start to place individual kits and create new identities just by using the old ones. So to demo that, it would be something like this. For example, take this and mix it with this, bring this a stone in the mix, duplicate it around sometime, bring it here, duplicate it, rotate, scale it, duplicate it, and do whatever you want to do with it. And you're free to do basically anything that you want. And let's take this one and bring it into the mix. And you see, by mixing them together, we have created a new identity. And suppose that we were using the old method for creating this, for example, taking this into ZBrush, detail them out, bring them into Substance, and create new meshes. It would have taken a lot more time to create, but using this mega assembly, it's a lot faster. We create some kits and treat them just some Lego pieces and create new entities with them. So let's see that these are presets and we want to create something out of this. So we take them, bring them to somewhere else. For example, start to change the position, make this one bigger, this one also, duplicate this some more. And because these meshes are high quality, they really mix together pretty fast. And you see, by just some duplicating around and things like this, we created new modular kits that would have been impossible to create with old methods. And by using a smaller portions, we create bigger portions and start distribute around the scene. And this method is called mega assemblies. And it has a lot of good features. And one is iteration time is a lot faster. And two, we could never have achieved something like this in texture quality using old methods because this now is using 4 materials instead of using just one. And the result finally is going to be a lot better compared to old methods. And it makes the prefab system and modularity a lot more powerful. We can take these, iterate, change them, and create new kits as well in no time really. And you can plan a bit and create, for example, something like a beach kit that is composed of a lot of waviness, sands, and things that you see on beaches, and something like a jungle ground kit, and then this cliff kit in here to make a mountain out of that. And the sky is the limit on how far you can go. You can make a lot of big things and a lot of big kits using this method. So how do we really create mega assemblies? So let's take these and delete them because I really do not want to use mega scans in my scenes. I really love to create a lot of things myself instead of using these pre-existing meshes. So for creating mega assemblies, we simply open a new level and you make the default or empty level, it's up to you. And for the lighting, we are going to keep the default one, but when you are done creating your mega assemblies, you want to delete all of these actors that are not needed, because we're going to reference this level instead of our level. And if we keep this directional light and skylight, every time we drag this into the scene, we are going to create a new directional light in the scene, and that is not what we want really. But now for being able to visualize things, we need a little bit of light. So we keep this. So let's delete this one and start to drag this into the scene. And this is like a Lego piece that we're going to create. So let's make the lighting a little bit more intense. And that is just for visualizing purposes. I really do not need the light at all. Let's take them all and reset the rotations so that they are in the middle of the scene. So let's take this and create something with it. Make this bigger, make this one bigger as well, duplicate them around. And the good thing is that these meshes are so high quality that the transition would have been a non-visible thing. Suppose that we create a nanite meshes that these transition lines become really so natural that we would have been not able to see them. So let's take this stone and duplicate it a couple of times. And you are free to do whatever you want to do with this. So where this is, let's copy it around some more. And you can also use the foliage paint tool to paint, for example, this pebble in here. Let's drag it and make the brush size a little bit smaller. And I want the pebble not to be so big. So let's make the size 10 times lower and bring the density up. And you see we have created something like this. Okay, now that we have these, let's take all of these actors that we do not need and delete them. Yes, and this one as well. Now we want to turn this into mega assemblies, and for that we go select all of them, right click and create from selection, and this menu is what enables you to do that. First you want to take these external actors to be on, and you want to set it to be pack level instance blueprint, and it makes a blueprint out of this that we can grab and bring into the scene and manipulate and do all sorts of things that we want. So, and the next option is to make the pivot, and this is very important. If you want the pivot to be centered around the mesh, it's going to create a box on the boundaries and put the pivot on the center, and this one creates a box and puts the pivot on the center but on the bottom part. And the next one is using an actor. For example, let's take this and bring it in here. For example, we want to set the pivot to be on this area instead of being on the center or center bottom. So let's rename it to something that is identifiable. Let's add a 0 to it, and again select all of them, create from selection, pack level instance blueprint and actor, and in here we're going to select this as a pivot. So we hit OK, and we should create a folder for them. I'm going to create on the maps level instance folder, and let's call it 01 test, because this is going to be for test and I'm not going to use that in final production. So save this, and now we're going to create a blueprint asset, and this blueprint asset is going to be what we drag into the scene. So let's bring this in here into my meshes folder, and in the blueprint folder save this. And now we're going to create another map, and this one as well I'm going to name it map underscore 01 underscore test, and name it to some. And now it has given us this blueprint that we can use on our level. So let's save everything out and bring and open the scene that we created before. So this is it, and let's go to on lid mode, and drag this blueprint into the scene. And now you see we have successfully created that kit and have brought it into this. And good thing is that we can reuse it as much as we want, and we can change it as well. And the good thing is that we can change it. Of course, we can create as many blueprints as we want using the same method, and bring them into the scene and change them and do whatever we want to do with them. And you see the pivot has been placed in here. And let's say that we want to change the pivot on this. And of course, always be mindful of the pivot placement. If you put something in the world, never try to affect this pivot, because the pivot is going to change and your assembly is going to also change with that. So let's go in here, save this, and this is the thing that we have. So open the blueprint in here. So this is it. Let's hit right click and hit edit or brick. This makes it brick the whole thing, and delete the blueprint as well. So now we can select them all again, create from selection, and now put the pivot on the center and hit OK, and do the same thing as these as well. So we need to create new identity. So create from selection and center, and this one, let's call this 02 test. And this one is going to be also under the meshes section. Let's call this blueprint 02 test. Okay, and now it created that for us. And now let's go into the scene, open and save anything. And now we can drag this into the scene, and you see now the pivot is in here. So the pivot placement is really your choice, whatever you want to do with it. So let's say that we are not happy with this and delete it. And we are now ready to set dress the scene using this data that we have here. And the good thing is that they are nanite meshes. The transition will be perfect, and you can change them on the fly as well. For example, let's take this and duplicate it, bring this around, and let's say for example we want to delete something from this or do some more manipulations out of this. We can right click on it and hit brick, and if you hit brick level instance, it's going to ask you a question, are you sure? Yes. And now we have these meshes as individual entities, and we can do whatever we want to do with them. And this is really a powerful system that allows us to do things like this. So these are things that I have gotten from this. And as always, if you want to change something in the whole thing, you want to open the blueprint, and let me bring it out so that you can see it better. And remember that if you change something in here, it's going to be reflected in those levels that you created before. So let's take this. Let's take, for example, this. and bring this up. And now into the scene, you see every change that I do in the blueprint is going to be reflected in here as well, into the whole world, wherever has this been referenced. So drag this one up. You see on these two instances, it has been risen up because they are the same thing, but in here, it's on the same place because I have broken this. So that is how powerful this system is. And I found something that I really do not want to create the blockout for the landscape meshes in here. And I'm going to create them later on so that I care about the proportions and things like that later on, not now. So let me delete all of these, and I'm going to delete all of the megascans from my library. I really do not want to use these in my scene, and I'd rather create everything myself instead of using megascans. So